Hello everybody, we are talking carbohydrates, the carbs. Notice carbohydrates, the name tells us quite a bit about the type of atoms or elements that are going to be present. So we have carbon, and then we also have water, H2O, and this also tells us that the ratio of the carbon, the hydrogens to oxygen are going to be usually close to or exactly a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. So these are a diverse group of macromolecules, that is, large molecules. And what we have here are the monosaccharides. And mono means one, and saccharide means sugar, so these are the single sugars. And these tend to be sweet. We have glucose, fructose, and galactose. And they all have the same chemical formula, different structures, but the same chemical formula. They are all C6H12O6. I do want you to know that glucose is the main energy source for living cells, whether it's plants or animals or other living creatures. Fructose is a sweet sugar that's found in fruits, and I do want you to get that in your notes as well. Galactose is a monosaccharide, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Well, here's a look at the chemical structure of the monosaccharides, glucose, fructose, and galactose. Take a look here now. On the left, we have glucose and fructose. On the right, we see that those two sugars can combine to create a double sugar known as a disaccharide. Now, that sucrose that is produced is commonly called table sugar. And again, that's a disaccharide consisting of a chemical union. A covalent bond will join the glucose molecule to the fructose molecule to create sucrose, which is, of course, table sugar. In a similar way, glucose and galactose will link together to make lactose. And lactose is commonly called milk sugar. I do want you to know the two sugars that make up these disaccharides. Here they are again. Sucrose consists of glucose plus fructose. Lactose, milk sugar, consists of glucose plus galactose. And finally, maltose is a chemical combination of two glucose molecules. Please make note that the chemical formula of these disaccharides are C12H22O11. What happens if you go back to the earlier picture where glucose is joining with fructose? If you go back to that, you'll see that a water, an O, an H, and another H is lost when those two sugars join each other. It's not really lost, it's produced as water, and it's what's called a product at the end of the chemical reaction. Finally, let's look at the most complex of these macromolecules. These are the polysaccharides. Poly means many, saccharide means sugar. These three important polysaccharides are long chains of glucose. So since these are long chains of glucose, these can be an important energy source, whether it be for a plant or whether it be for an animal. So here we have glycogen. It's a polysaccharide. Notice all the glucose molecules linked together. Cellulose is also a long chain of glucose. In fact, all the polysaccharides are long chains of glucose. Cellulose is an important structural component of plant cells. It makes up plant cell walls. I do want you to get that. That is cellulose, plant cell walls. Glycogen, on the other hand, is going to store energy in muscle cells and also in the liver. And it makes sense because the main energy source of living cells is glucose, and glycogen is a long chain of glucose, so they kind of act like the body's pep pills, if you will. Lastly, we have starches. So starches are important plant product, and maybe the most famous example of a starch would be in potatoes. Starch, again, just like the other two polysaccharides, it is a long chain of glucose. Well, this concludes macromolecules. Hope this helped, and everybody have a good day.